Listen up because I'm about to say something most men won't admit out loud, and most of you desperately need to hear it. The truth is harsh, but it's the kind of truth that separates men who get what they want from men who spend their lives wondering why women aren't interested. And let me be blunt. If you're one of those guys who believes that women should notice you just because you exist, you're already behind. Here's the first thing you need to understand. Women are not obligated to pay attention to you. They don't care about your nice guy qualities, your hard work, or how polite you are. Politeness is basic human decency. It's not a superpower that makes her chase you. And yet, I see men making the same mistakes over and over, thinking that just by showing up and being good, a woman will automatically notice them. Newsflash, she won't. That's not how attraction works. And pretending it is will only keep you stuck on the sidelines. Now, before you get defensive, let me clarify something. I'm not talking about manipulation, lies, or disrespect. Forget everything you've seen in cheap pickup artist tutorials. I'm talking about real practical ways to stand out, to make her notice you, even if right now she's not interested. This isn't about changing who you are, it's about leveling up the energy, confidence, and presence you already have. Think of it as turning the volume up on your life so she can't help but hear it. Here's the controversial part. Most men fail not because women don't like them, but because they have no idea how to demand attention without begging for it. You see men everywhere trying to win her over with compliments, gifts, or endless messages, and it never works. Why? Because desire isn't created through effort or persistence. Desire is created through presence, mystery, and the ability to be a man who is living a full magnetic life. Women are wired to notice men who are scarce, confident, and intriguing, not men who are available 247. Harsh, yes, true, absolutely. Another uncomfortable truth, being nice alone is not enough. Women aren't attracted to what you say you are. They're attracted to who you are when you're living your life without waiting for her approval. A man who is ambitious, disciplined, and unapologetically himself sends a signal that draws attention without trying. On the other hand, a man who bends over backward for validation, who changes himself to fit what he thinks she wants, becomes invisible, or worse, predictable and boring. You need to understand that chasing someone who isn't interested will never make her want you. It will only make you look desperate. And desperation is the fastest way to kill attraction. Now, let's address another taboo. Rejection is not your enemy. In fact, rejection is a tool, a mirror that tells you exactly where you stand. Every time a woman doesn't notice you, it's not a personal attack. It's an opportunity to analyze yourself, improve your presence, and become someone so compelling that attention isn't optional. It's automatic. Most men run from rejection. They hide behind excuses or blame women for being too picky. That's cowardice disguised as rationalization. The real men, the ones who get noticed, embrace rejection, learn from it, and use it to become better versions of themselves. Here's the kicker. If you're expecting me to hand you a step by step formula where you can guarantee any woman's attention every single time, I'm not going to do it. That's not realistic. And if you believe it, you're setting yourself up for failure. What I can do is teach you how to transform the way you present yourself, how to command presence, and how to create attraction naturally. These are methods that, when applied consistently, make women notice you, even if they weren't interested before. And yes, that will make some men uncomfortable because it challenges the nice guy narrative society has sold you. But here's the truth, comfort doesn't create results, action does. So if you're ready to stop wasting your time, to stop expecting women to hand you attention on a silver platter, and to finally step into a version of yourself that makes women genuinely curious and intrigued, this video is for you. I'm going to show you how to turn the tables, how to make her notice you even when she didn't plan to, and how to do it without becoming someone you're not. This isn't magic. This isn't manipulation. This is strategy, psychology, and the raw truth that most men are too scared to confront. By the end of this video, you're going to understand exactly what separates the men women notice from the men who fade into the background. You're going to see why confidence, presence, and value are more powerful than any pickup line, compliment, or gift. And you're going to get a clear, practical roadmap for making yourself the kind of man who gets noticed, even by the women who seem completely uninterested right now. So, buckle up because the truth is uncomfortable. The lessons are controversial, and the results, if you actually apply what I'm about to teach, can be life changing. And make no mistake, this video isn't for everyone. If you're not ready to wake up, if you're not ready to challenge your beliefs about yourself, then stop here. But if you're ready to see the world differently, to take control of your presence, and to finally make women notice you in ways you never thought possible, then keep watching. Here's the first truth most men refuse to admit: blending in gets you ignored. If you're acting like every other guy she sees, you're invisible. Women notice men who stand out. And not because they're flashy or rich, but because they carry themselves differently. You might be thinking, but I'm already nice, friendly, and polite. Isn't that enough? The answer is no. Nice guys get forgotten. Women aren't impressed by polite behavior alone. They are drawn to men who have an undeniable sense of self, who know who they are and what they want without apologizing for it. Being unapologetically yourself doesn't mean being arrogant or rude. It means living in a way that reflects your own standards, interests, and energy, regardless of whether she notices. Think about it like this. If you're at a coffee shop and you're sitting quietly scrolling on your phone, she sees a man who's waiting for permission to exist. But if you're there fully engaged in a conversation, laughing confidently with friends, or even reading a book that fascinates you, you radiate presence. That energy alone can catch her eye, even if she wasn't looking for it. Here's a truth that will sting. Most men try to be what they think a woman wants. They mimic behavior, laugh at jokes that aren't funny, and change their appearance to match trends they don't like. And what happens? They end up looking fake, desperate, and boring. Women can sense that immediately. Attraction isn't about fitting into a mold, it's about breaking it in a way that shows confidence. She doesn't want a copy of every other guy in her life. She wants a man who has his own rhythm, his own story, and the courage to live it fully. Let's put this into perspective. Imagine a man at a social gathering. He's confident. He's laughing at his own jokes, sharing stories about a hobby he loves, and genuinely enjoying himself. Across the room, a woman notices him, not because he's trying to impress her, but because he's living fully in his own energy. She feels the pull before she even understands why. Now, compare that to a man who spends the night trying to sit next to her, complimenting her nonstop, and adjusting himself to match her mood. He's invisible. She might even find him. She might even exhausting. The difference isn't skill or luck, it's presence. One man is magnetic because he exists unapologetically. The other is forgettable because he exists for her. Another layer most men ignore is the power of boundaries. Women notice men who have them. Boundaries show that you value yourself and that you're not willing to sacrifice your standards for attention. For example, if she texts you late at night expecting an immediate reply, a man who values his own time doesn't jump at her command. He responds when it suits him without guilt, without over explaining. That's magnetic. It signals that your life isn't built around her approval. It's built around your standards. You can take it even further by embracing the quirks and passions that make you unique. Maybe you have an unusual hobby, a strong opinion on something most people ignore, or a style that doesn't fit the mainstream. Instead of hiding it, lean into it. There's nothing more attractive than a man who doesn't apologize for what makes him interesting. A man who can laugh at himself, pursue what he loves, and show his individuality effortlessly becomes someone women notice, even if she wasn't interested before. Here's an example that illustrates this perfectly. A friend of mine loves motorcycles. Not casually, but he's obsessed. He spends weekends fixing engines, customizing his bike, and riding across the city. He doesn't try to hide it to impress women. One night at a party, a woman who had previously ignored him noticed him talking passionately about his latest project. His energy, his confidence, and his love for what he does drew her in instantly. She approached him intrigued by a man who clearly wasn't living for anyone else but himself. That's how presence works. It creates curiosity and attraction without any effort to win someone over. So, if you want to get any woman's attention, even if she's not interested, step one is simple but rarely done. Stand out by being unapologetically yourself. Stop trying to fit into a mold you think she'll like. Stop bending over backward to get noticed. Live fully in your own energy. Honor your interests. Maintain your boundaries. And embrace the quirks that make you unique. Women will notice. They will feel your presence. And that attention won't come from effort or persistence. It will come from the fact that you are living in a way that naturally commands it. Remember, this isn't about being perfect, it's about being real. It's about creating a magnetic energy that pulls her in without chasing, without begging, and without changing who you are. Because the truth is, nothing attracts a woman more than a man who is entirely comfortable being himself unapologetically and consistently. Here's a reality most men refuse to face. Women aren't drawn to what you say, they're drawn to how you make them feel. You can have the best lines, the nicest smile, and a perfectly rehearsed story. But if your energy is weak, if you're timid or unsure of yourself, none of it matters. Women notice presence first, words second. That's the harsh truth that men rarely admit because it's uncomfortable. Think about it. You've been in situations where someone walks into a room and suddenly you can't stop paying attention to them. You don't even know why at first. It's not their looks or their charm. It's the energy they carry confidence, calmness, focus, and a sense of self assuredness. It's magnetic. And this is something you can cultivate regardless of your current circumstances. The men who get noticed aren't always the richest, strongest, or best looking. They are the men who project energy that makes people lean in. Here's where most men go wrong. They confuse activity with presence. They think that texting constantly, complimenting endlessly, or following someone around proves interest. It doesn't. It proves dependence. It proves insecurity. Presence is about standing your ground, knowing your worth, and engaging with the world on your terms. When you're fully present, your attention is undivided. Your confidence shows naturally, and your energy becomes noticeable in ways that words never could. Women pick up on subtle cues that most men don't even realize exist. The way you carry yourself in a conversation, your posture, the tone of your voice, the energy you project when you enter a space, all of these things send signals. If your energy is low, if you appear hesitant or unsure, she will sense it immediately. Conversely, if you're grounded, focused, and comfortable in your skin, she can feel it without you saying a single word. That's the invisible language of attraction, and mastering it gives you a huge advantage over men who are desperate for validation. Another overlooked truth: women are drawn to men who are emotionally stable. That doesn't mean stoic or cold. It means you control your reactions, you manage your emotions, and you don't let uncertainty or anxiety dictate your behavior. Most men let their feelings run wild when they want attention, and it's exhausting to witness. They overthink messages, read too much into small gestures, and constantly seek approval. Women notice this and feel a lack of security. Presence is the antidote. Calm, controlled, and grounded energy signals that you are a man who can handle himself in any situation. That's rare, and that rarity makes you stand out. Relatability is another factor that can't be underestimated. Women notice men who feel authentic, who aren't trying too hard to impress, and who operate from a place of self awareness. You don't need to perform or create a persona. You just need to show up fully in your own energy. She can sense when you are comfortable, when you're confident, and when you have your life together, even in small ways. These signals are more powerful than words because they create a sense of stability, attraction, and intrigue. The men who fail at this spend their time trying to force connection. They over explain themselves. They chase validation and they base their mood on her response. That's the opposite of presence. True presence is independent of outcomes. It's about showing up as a man who commands respect and attention by simply existing with confidence. It's the quiet strength in the room, the calm assurance in your voice, the subtle gestures that communicate you are in control of your life. And let's be honest, this is something you've probably felt yourself. You've noticed guys who walk into a room and everyone notices them without them trying at all. You've also felt the opposite. Guys who try desperately to be liked, to be seen, and fail miserably because their energy betrays their intentions. You know the difference intuitively, and women know it too. That's why mastering presence isn't optional, it's essential. So, if you want to get attention from women who aren't even thinking about you, start by understanding your own energy. Ground yourself, control your emotions, and show up fully in every situation. Stop seeking validation, stop chasing approval, and focus on being a man whose presence is undeniable. When your energy speaks louder than words, when you radiate confidence without effort, women will notice, even if they initially weren't interested. Here's a truth most men refuse to admit. Chasing women who aren't interested is not only useless, it's pathetic. And yes, I'm going to be blunt because sugarcoating this will get you nowhere. Too many men spend their lives running after attention that will never come, thinking that persistence will eventually win her over. It won't. Not because women are mean or hard to get, but because chasing destroys attraction. Desire can't be forced. And chasing communicates one thing clearly: neediness. And neediness, it's a complete turnoff. Wake up. Stop wasting your time and energy on validation that doesn't serve you. Instead of constantly wondering what she's thinking, start focusing on yourself. This isn't a motivational cliche, it's a strategy. The men who get noticed by women who initially weren't interested aren't chasing. They're living. They're building their careers, pursuing their passions, mastering their skills, and cultivating their own lives with such intensity that women can't help but notice. Presence, energy, and self sufficiency create a magnetic pull that no chasing can replicate. Most men think they need to be liked or approved by every woman they meet. They adjust their behavior, hide their opinions, and even compromise their standards just to be accepted. Let me be clear, this is a trap. Living to be liked is a fast track to irrelevance. Women notice men who live on their own terms, not men who bend for approval. It's simple. Stop being a man who exists for her attention. Start being a man who exists for his own life, his own purpose, and his own growth. That shift alone will make you impossible to ignore. Here's where the criticism comes in. And yes, it's uncomfortable. Too many men are passive in their own lives. They complain about being ignored, about nice guys finishing last, about women being unreachable. But they do nothing to create value, presence, or attraction. Sitting around hoping attention will fall into your lap isn't strategy. It's laziness disguised as frustration. If you want results, you need to take responsibility. You need to stop blaming circumstances or women for your lack of attention. It's on you, your energy, your presence, your life. These are the things that make women notice, not your complaints. Another wake-up call. Comfort kills attraction. Too many men have settled into routines that are safe, predictable, and boring. They scroll on their phones, play video games, and complain about dating, wondering why nothing works. Women notice this. They can sense stagnation, and it's a silent killer of attraction. To stand out, you need to disrupt that comfort. Learn something new. Challenge yourself physically or mentally. Pursue goals that scare you and push boundaries in your own life. Women notice men who are evolving, growing, and becoming versions of themselves that are exciting and unpredictable. And let's be honest, you've felt this yourself. You've seen men who live small, who wait for attention, and they are invisible. You've also seen men who have their own fire, their own energy, their own mission, and suddenly women who ignored them are intrigued. That's not coincidence. That's cause and effect. Women are drawn to men who have something bigger than the chase, something that communicates independence, confidence, and value. So here's the advice you need to hear: stop chasing, stop waiting, stop giving your attention to someone who doesn't already see your worth. Instead, focus on your life, build skills, pursue passions, strengthen your presence, and take ownership of your energy. Become the man who doesn't need approval, the man who radiates confidence and curiosity, and the man who makes attention inevitable. Women will notice because attraction is never about pleading. It's about living fully. Wake up, stop blaming, stop chasing, and start living. You want attention? Stop trying to get it and instead become the man that commands it naturally. When you live this way, even the women who seemed uninterested before will see you in a completely new light, and the power of attraction will shift entirely in your favor. Here's the truth I need to hit you with before we wrap this up. Most men will never get the attention of the women they desire. Not because women are hard to get, not because they're too picky, but because men refuse to take responsibility for their own lives. That's the uncomfortable, controversial truth that no one will tell you. And it's exactly why so many men stay invisible, overlooked, and frustrated while the same opportunities pass them by. The majority of men are waiting, hoping, and pleading for attention instead of commanding it. And until you wake up to this, nothing will change. Let me be clear: women don't owe you attention. Attraction isn't a reward for being nice, being polite, or waiting patiently. It's a natural response to energy, presence, and value. If you've been thinking that persistence, compliments, or gifts alone will make her notice you, it's time to be honest with yourself. You've been wasting your time. You've been operating under a false belief that you can earn interest through effort alone. That's not how desire works. Desire responds to life, lived fully, to confidence, to independence, and to presence. And the truth is, the men who get noticed are the men who stop chasing, start living, and stop caring about being approved by anyone. Here's the controversial part: most men don't want to hear this because it challenges their entire mindset. Society has conditioned men to believe that their value comes from being liked, from being accepted, and from conforming. But here's the wake up call: that mindset kills attraction. If you've been living your life trying to fit someone else's expectations, you are invisible. You are unremarkable. And until you stop bending, stop chasing, and start showing up as your own man, women who could be interested will pass you by. They are not the problem. You are, or at least your current version is. I want you to reflect on that for a moment. Feel the discomfort, because that's exactly where growth begins. Most men don't like being confronted with their own passivity. They prefer excuses, rationalizations, and blame. But growth doesn't happen in comfort. It happens in challenge. If you truly want to get attention from women who haven't noticed you yet, the work starts with you. Your energy, your presence, your life, your standards. No amount of messaging, complimenting, or waiting will replace the power of a man fully in command of himself. Now, I want to create a connection here because this isn't just theory. I've been in your shoes. I've watched men struggle, and I've seen the transformation happen when a man decides to take responsibility for his own attention. It's not about tricking anyone. It's about becoming magnetic in a way that's undeniable. And that's what I want for you. This isn't a lecture, it's a call to action. Stop being a spectator in your own life. Start being the man who commands attention because he's living fully unapologetically. and without waiting for permission. I want you to do something right now. Comment below with your experiences. Share the moments when you felt ignored, overlooked, or frustrated. Tell me how you've tried to get attention and what worked or didn't work. I will read every comment and I will engage with you. This isn't just a one way conversation. I want to create a connection. I want to help you see where you might be holding yourself back. And I want to show you the strategies to flip the script, to get noticed, and to reclaim the control you've been missing. Remember this, the controversial truth is that being ignored isn't about her, it's about you. And until you wake up to that fact, until you start investing in your energy, your presence, and your life, you will keep repeating the same patterns over and over. That may sting, but it's reality. The good news, you can change it right now, today, by shifting how you live, how you carry yourself, and how you show up in the world. You can make women notice you, even those who previously ignored you. So here's your challenge. Stop chasing. Stop waiting. Stop seeking validation. Start living for yourself. Build the life that makes attention inevitable. Be confident. Be present. Be unapologetically you. And then when you see the results, when women start noticing without you trying, come back here and share your story. I want to celebrate your victories. I want to connect with you. And I want to see you grow into the man you were always capable of becoming. Because the harsh, controversial truth is this: most men will remain invisible forever. Not because women don't notice, but because they refuse to do the work. Don't be most men. Be the man who commands attention effortlessly. Be the man who doesn't chase but gets noticed.